right. Welcome, everyone. Today's Hive webinar is about from ChatGPT to autonomous agents. So my name is Jordan Schure. I'm an AI innovation consultant at Hive, and I'm really excited to spend the next 60 minutes or so with you. We're going to explore today how AI is fundamentally changing the way we innovate. So from the first stages of research all the way through prototyping and validation. And most importantly, we will look at where this is heading and what it means for you and your organization. This session is designed to be practical and also a bit interactive, so please feel free to ask questions at any time. And let's get started. All right, before we dive in, I'd love to get a quick sense of everyone that is already joining here. Who of you is using AI daily? Maybe you can click the show of hands symbol, react. Great, thank you. Yeah, that's a good number. At least I see some of you are already showing your hands. For those of you who raised your hands, I'm also curious, are you mostly using it for writing, for research, for coding, or something else entirely? We will come back to this throughout the session, because how you use AI matters just as much whether you use it. So the difference between someone who gets mediocre results and someone who gets extraordinary results often comes down to understanding the tools at a much more deeper level. So let's start in with what are we covering today. Our agenda for today is, I've structured it in 7 sections. So we'll start with a brief introduction to Hive, what we do. Then we will explore why everyone is suddenly talking about AI and what's actually changed. From there, we will look at 3 scenarios for how AI is evolving from simple tools to autonomous agents. The heart of the session then is AI across the innovation process. So where I will show you real use cases in research, ideation, and prototyping and validation. And in the end, we'll zoom out to look at the big picture of autonomous innovation. So what a fully automated pipeline look like. And then quick reality check, because it's not all sunshines and rainbows. So we will talk about real challenges when implementing something like that. And finally, we also will discuss how you can prepare for the future and what steps you can take right now. Yeah, sounds good. Let's get started. Let me give you a quick overview of who we are before we dive into the AI content. Yeah, Hive is an innovation consultancy based in Munich. We help organizations create products and strategies that people actually want. We've been doing this for over 25 years. I can show you a quick video of us just to give you a sense of what we do. Great. Now some quick numbers for the context. We have 25 years of experience. We have 60 innovation experts, and we launched over 210 products to market, and 4,200 projects that we delivered across several different industries, probably almost all that you can imagine. And 70% of DAX and Fortune 500 and SMI companies are our clients. So we've seen a lot of different innovation challenges. What makes our approach work is that the ecosystem that we have around us. We have over 10,000 innovators in our crowd, and others as well, strong academic partnerships, and we have the backing of Quest Group, which is our mother company. So this gives us access to expertise across technology, media, and engineering. Importantly for today's topic, AI is at the core of what we do. So it's not just a side project. We have dedicated AI consultants and developers. We publish research on AI in innovation, and we co-lead the applied AI practice within the Quest Group, where we also work with partners like NVIDIA, for example. And so, yeah, what I'll show today comes from hands-on experience. Our innovation work covers 3 areas: strategic foresight, product innovation, and product development. Today, we'll focus on product innovation, research, ideation, prototyping, and validation, because that's where AI is having the biggest impact right now. Just to give you 3 examples across the industries where we have worked already or delivered client projects, from future mobility for Audi to researching for the Nivea black and white deodorant, which solved the real problem of deodorant stains on clothes and became a huge commercial success. So yeah, these show our approach, which is that we always start from real user needs. So everything we do sits at this sweet spot, the intersection of desirability, feasibility, and viability. So yeah, what's exciting is that AI is shifting all 3. We expand what is technically possible, and it helps us understand users in a way faster way that before, and also we can have new business models through this. Which brings us to the big question: why is AI such a hot topic? Essentially, yeah, before ChatGPT, you needed to be a coding expert to use machine learning systems, and now it's very accessible after ChatGPT because it just can talk to it in natural language. To get more technical for a moment, when I say AI agent, what do I actually mean? How is this different from the ChatGPT window that you probably have open right now? Let me break it down for you. An AI chatbot just answers questions. You ask it something and it responds. That's it. And then the conversation ends. It forgets everything. And the difference is, an agent, it pursues goals, it uses tools, it takes autonomous actions on your behalf to achieve outcomes. That's different. And an AI agent usually has 3 components. So it has goals, it receives some high-level objective through a system prompt or something like that, where it can autonomously plan the steps needed to achieve this goal. So you don't tell it each step, you tell it the destination where you want it to head. Then tools, so it can search the web, it can query databases, write code, create files, or interact with APIs. So it doesn't just generate text, it really takes actions in the real world. And then lastly, memory. So through techniques like RAG and vector databases, it can access and reason over large knowledge bases. It can maintain the context across complex workflows. Depends, of course, how you configure it. So you can think of it in a way that a chatbot is like texting a friend who's very good at trivia, knows a lot, but an AI agent is more like hiring a skilled assistant who can research, who can plan, who can execute on your behalf and report back autonomously. To understand AI today, it helps to think in 3 layers. First, we have models. So these are the brains: ChatGPT 5.2, Claude Opus 4.6, or Gemini 3 Pro. Those are the brains. They determine the intelligence, they reason, and they give you very good output quality, depending on which model you use, of course. You can think of it as the engine. Then you have apps, which are the interfaces for those models, like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. And those are the products that let you interact with these models. You can think of it like the same engine, but you have a different dashboard, how you interact with it. And then third is harness. So this is where it gets really interesting. Harnesses are systems that give the model tools, actions, and autonomy. Like a harness on a horse, they can channel the raw power into useful work. Yeah, the key insight here is that every model behaves differently, completely differently, depending on the harness that it has. So if you use Anthropic's Claude Opus in a chat window, it's completely different than if you would use it something in a agentic harness like Claude Code or Claude Cowork, or in another setting where it can autonomously develop software, for example, or test the software and deploy it over a long period of time, of course. Yep. Then a practical tip that will immediately improve most AI results is, okay, it's not showing. Yeah, but is that the most common mistake is that people are not choosing the right model. So the model providers, they don't make this really easy. Usually if you have your subscription, they choose always the medium to dumb model. It's safe to say for ChatGPT, just always select thinking. Takes a bit longer, but you get much better results. For Gemini, it's the Gemini 3 Pro model, not the, don't use the Flash unless you really need something very fast. But if you wanted to do a task, actually, just use the Pro mode. And also for Claude, use Opus and extended thinking, not just Sonnet. Sonnet is a lower model, because this gives you the deepest reasoning capabilities. Yeah, why does this matter? Because many of those viral AI fails that you see online, they happen because people are using the free and the default models, which are more optimized for casual chat and not for accuracy. So when you switch to the right model and the right mode, then the quality difference is dramatic, especially if you upgrade to the paid version. Even if you have the same settings, ChatGPT paid is way different, the output way better and helpful usually than if you just use the free version. So there's a shift from chatbots to agents, and this creates a whole generation of tools. Some that I think are particularly important I listed here. Claude Code, OpenAI Codex, Google Anti-Gravity. Those are tools that give the AI access to your code base, to your terminal. They can autonomously build, test, and deploy software. So this was what powers vibe coding, which we'll discuss later. Claude Cowork, you can think of it as Claude Code, but for non-technical users. It runs on your desktop, works with your local files and your browser. So you describe what you want, the Claude plans and executes. So this is the first real AI that you don't just talk to, but it actually gets some work done. Then Notebook LM is Google's answer for information synthesis. So you can upload your documents, your papers, and videos, and they become an interactive knowledge base. So you can generate podcasts, videos, and presentations even. And then you have OpenClaw, which is a quite recent development, which is an open source agent framework where you can plug in models, you can plug in tools, and then it's an agent that runs on your computer or in the cloud. And it's like a 24/7 assistant that you can just ping with via WhatsApp or another chat app, and it does things for you on this computer. Yeah, this is still early, but it shows where the personal AI agents are heading. And I think this is really a big shift. So it's actually getting some traction where AI is actually working for you. Yeah, let me quickly explain the three technical building blocks that make agents possible, because you will hear these terms a lot. RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Before answering, then an agent would retrieve relevant documents from your knowledge database and then grounds the data on grounds the answer on this data. So it's not just using its training data. This is really what prevents hallucination. I say prevents, not completely removes them, but it's a big step forward to get more fact-based answers. GraphRag, this goes a bit beyond simple document retrieval. It maps the relationships between entities. So like companies, trends, technologies, or user needs in a knowledge graph. And in this knowledge graph, you can reveal hidden connections that humans might miss before. Because I will do a later I will do a more detailed comparison between the two. So we'll spare this for that. Yeah, then the MCP, Model Context Protocol, you can think of it like a USB port for tools that you can use to plug in any tool to an AI, because before you had to write a different code always to tell the AI how to use a tool. Now with MCP, this got a lot more easy. Yeah, together, these three technologies, they are what make this new leap from chatbots to agent possible, because you need this as a base. And let me show you how this plays out across the innovation process. How AI actually impacts innovation. Yep, there are two fundamental ways. First, you have AI in the innovation process. So this is where AI supports or automates how ideas are created, tested, selected. So you can think of faster user research, AI-powered ideation, and also faster prototyping. And then second, you can have AI in the solution. So this is where AI becomes a core feature of the product or the service itself. You can think of it as personalized recommendations, having a smart assistant, or using computer vision features in your tool. So most projects today, they combine both. But for today's sessions, we're focusing primarily on the first one. So how AI augments the innovation process. So when we map out the innovation journey from problem space to solution space, then AI offers two major benefits. First, we have a creativity gain. So yeah, with AI, you can explore far more diverse possibilities than any human team. You can combine ideas from different domains. You can apply different creative frameworks simultaneously and then generate variations. And second is an efficiency gain, of course, because AI does things faster and also at scale, so you can replicate it. Yeah, the key insight here is that it doesn't just make the process faster, but it also changes the shape of the process. Let me show you how this is evolving. So we're now entering the most important part of today's session. I want to show you three scenarios, how AI is evolving in the innovation space, from simple tools that help with individual tasks to multi-agent systems that orchestrate the entire phase from the beginning to fully autonomous pipelines. And this evolution is happening right now. So yeah, understanding where your organization sits on this spectrum is crucial for making the right next decision about your AI investment. There's a famous saying in investing, you have to wait for the low tide to see who's standing naked. I think this applies perfectly for AI right now. The initial hype is settling. Companies that were just doing AI washing, so putting an AI label on everything, they're being exposed, and the real value is emerging. So that's what I want to focus on today, not the hype, but like what's the real substance. So let's look at three scenarios. Scenario one at the bottom. Tool adoption. So this is where most organizations are today. Individual AI tools, they enhance specific steps, but most software tools that you use, they also increasingly adopt more AI features. But for this is also if you use ChatGPT for brainstorming, for example, or if you use Perplexity for research. Then we have scenario two, which is agentic innovation. This is the emerging paradigm. So there you have multi-agent systems that collaborate and orchestrate entire phases of the innovation process autonomously. So instead of using separate tools, you have AI systems that work together. And then scenario 3 is autonomous innovation. So this is where the future is heading. This is where we're building toward. This is an end-to-end AI pipeline that runs the full innovation process with minimal human intervention. Let me walk you through each phase individually. Yeah, you're using tools in the first phase just to be more efficient, but those steps are incremental because humans must manually bridge every gap. So the human is still the bottleneck in this scenario. And then in the second scenario, agentic innovation, you can connect agents using tools like agent-to-agent protocol, but also you can connect each agent with different tools such as MCP or RAG. And this changes a bit the human role because you don't have to do so much. You're moving away from being just the executor of please tool start this to being an orchestrator. So you define what is the challenge that I want to solve. You want to set constraints. Where do I want to go? Where do I not want to go with my system? And so you make more strategic decisions. And the AI agent in this is not just a chatbot, then it's like really a system that talks to each other. And for the third phase, autonomous innovation, this is the future that we're actually actively building towards. This means having an end-to-end AI pipeline that can run the full innovation process. Yeah, this is not science fiction. We already use this in some use case. I will show you this later. But first, let me show you what really happens when AI meets innovation teams. Because probably most of you know the Gartner hype cycle. We see this all the time. Something like OpenClaw emerges. Everyone is super hyped. It's fantastic. You have the euphoria, and then comes a disillusionment where everyone says, "Oh, yeah, you have hallucinations. Stuff is not really working that well." So it's harder than expected, and then everyone says it's overhyped. And then the third phase, where productivity really is captured. So if you learn how to use AI intentionally, develop customized workflows, evaluate results critically, of course, and then you can find this sweet spot where AI is actually being useful for you. The critical thing, I think, here is still to remember this, even though this has already been shown in a lot of AI presentations, is that to expect this curve that will happen with every new release. And if there is a moment where you're super hyped, there will come the moment where we will be disappointed or disillusioned. And if we go through this, then we can actually capture the value from it. Yeah, let's start with the first phase of innovation, exploration and research. This is where you're scanning the market, you're understanding user needs, analyzing trends, building the knowledge foundation for everything that follows. So this is also one of the areas where AI delivers the most immediate and dramatic value, in my opinion. Imagine having a research team that reads every paper, that works 24/7, monitors every trend, and never forgets a finding. You can have 3 key capabilities in a system like this. So you have autonomous web research agents that can scan sources or look through RSS feeds, patent databases, academic papers, etc. And second, at Hive, we developed a multi-agent research pipeline. Just to show you how this works, I give you a concept overview. And third is structured insight extraction. So we have the Hive IMP insight management pipeline, which uses a process called atomization and classification to transform unstructured data into reliable strategy and insights. Because Normally, you would just get a data smoothie. You would just blend all the data if you put it in a normal RAG. There are ways to do research with AI, which is way more efficient. So this is a concept we developed for a client, a multi-agent research pipeline. So on the left, you see the data sources, RSS feeds, web searches, file systems. In the middle, you have two agents that are working together. So you have a market research agent, and then you have a reporting agent that drafts a report in the end. So it's like having a research team that is working for you 24/7. I just want to go a bit deeper into how RAG and GraphRag work in an innovation context, because this is where the real differentiation happens. If you use just normal RAG for a case like getting or deriving insights, it means like you just feed all the documents to an AI, and a system will chop this into little chunks. And if you have a question to it, it will retrieve the most important paragraphs and gives you an answer from this most important paragraphs, but it will lose the big picture. So if you want to have the big picture and understand there's something in that document that relates to this document or how they relate all together, then you need something like GraphRag, which is mapping the relationships between entities. So you can ask them questions: which emerging technology could solve our top 3 user pain points, for example. And the system then can actually reason across these connections to give you a meaningful answer. So in practice, the best approach is to combine both. You connect your innovation knowledge database with standard RAG to have detailed documents and also get citations. And then you layer GraphRag on top to get those cross-domain insights. So this is how agents can derive conclusions that humans might miss, because it's just so much that we cannot simply hold that many connections in our heads. Yeah, here's another capability that is generally new. Voice agents become actually usable. So if you look at voice platforms like ElevenLabs Studio, you can create conversational AI agents that can conduct very good user interviews that sound natural, that feel empathic, and those agents also adapt in real time to what the user is saying. And you can think of this as you deploy those voice agents to interview hundreds of users in parallel at any time of the day, simultaneously in any language. So you get way more insight than before. And then if you combine this with RAG, what I previously mentioned, you can ground the further research that you do into all this data that you collected. But also, if you give the agents themselves access to what you already have found out, then the agents can ask way better follow-up questions and probe way deeper into the topics that actually matter for your project. So just to be clear, I don't think this replaces real qualitative research with real users. So nothing really replaces sitting across from a human and reading their body language. But I think as a complement and as a scale multiplier, yeah, voice agents are incredibly powerful. So let's move on from research to the creative phase. Ideation and creativity. I think this is where it gets really interesting, because for a long time people assumed that creativity was the one thing where that AI couldn't touch, because yeah, for several different reasons. But we're seeing that that assumption is rapidly being proven wrong. The research is showing that AI-generated ideas can be more viable and also financially valuable, and also of higher overall quality than the ideas derived from traditional crowd-based ideation. We used the multi-agents setup to generate ideas for a client, where we had 3 specialized agents. So we had a brief creation agent that analyzed current trends and market gaps and generated a focused creative brief of what the ideas should be about. And then we had an idea generation agent that creates diverse concepts using structured creativity techniques like Scamper and the Walt Disney method, and combined this with the real-time mark data. And then we had a reflection agent that critically evaluates all those concepts and selects the most promising ones. So what changes for humans is that our role shifts a bit from shifts a bit away from doing all these things to defining the innovation challenge. So setting the evaluation criteria, curating and curating the final selection. So we're not really replaced, but we're more elevated for a strategic decision, that stuff that matters most for the project. So now we're entering what might be the most exciting area for many of you. So prototyping and vibe coding. This is where AI literally builds things for you. And it's changing the game for how fast we can go from an idea to a working prototype. So let me introduce a concept that's taking the world by storm. Vibe coding, probably most of you have heard of it by now, if you are on the internet. But not everyone knows that it's from Andrew Karpathy, from a quote that he posted on Twitter, on X. He is one of the AI researchers that co-founded OpenAI. And I think his quote captures it perfectly. So he says, fully given to the vibes and forget that the code even exists. So what does this actually mean in practice? It's an AI-assisted approach. Some call it also AI agentic engineering, where you describe what you want in natural language and the AI translated it into working code. So you just say what you want, the AI takes it, writes the Claude code, plans, writes, tests, and debugs your application. And then in the end, you have a working application that you can deploy or you can iterate on. So it's not really just a tool, vibe coding, it's more like a dialogue. It's more like a way of working to build software. Yeah, there are several tools that make vibe coding possible, ranging from tools that anyone can pick up to more powerful frameworks for technical users. Lovable and Base44 are more on the accessible end. You can just say what you want and you get a working app with a working backend. So you really don't need to have any coding skills, which is great for fast first prototypes. And then there are Claude Code or Cursor coding IDEs. They can dig deeper into the code. You have much more degrees of freedom, but it's also a bit more complicated to use them. And then, which is the new stuff, to use something like OpenClaw. This is better understood as an autonomous agent, so one that can act, explore, and make decisions independently. It can also write code and debug code, but the main power of this is more that it can research topics, also navigate complex tasks autonomously. Yeah, this makes it very well, very valuable for innovation, not just for stuff related to prototyping. And for innovation teams, this means that you can describe your prototype requirements and an agent deploys, iterates on it autonomously. Yeah, we use this at Hive for prototypes that used to take weeks, and they can now be built in days or even months. The last phase of the innovation process we'll cover is validation and testing. So this is where you find out if your ideas actually work. And AI is opening entirely new ways to test concepts before investing in expensive real-world research. So here's a concept that, in my opinion, is generally cutting edge. Testing with synthetic users before spending a single euro on user research. yeah, synthetic user agents. They can simulate diverse personas that discover, evaluate, and react your product concepts with realistic behavioral patterns. And they have different demographics, different preferences, behaviors, and decision-making styles also. You can set up automated feedback loops as well. So validation agents test the concepts and they collect feedback, iterate on designs, and retest. So something that used to take weeks of user testing, this can now be compressed into hours. And also here, to be clear, I don't think that synthetic users are a replacement for real users, because nothing really replaces a real human feedback with all its complexity and emotions and contradictions. But synthetic users are incredibly powerful pre-filter because they ensure that only the strongest concepts move forward to an expensive real-world testing. So now still switch. To continue on this synthetic user testing, what this looks like in practice, there are some platforms that are emerging, like synthetic users, artificial societies. They let you exactly do this. You can simulate entire societies, which personas discover, share, and react to your idea. And the key is getting feedback before investing in real user research. So if synthetic users can't even find value in your concept, real users probably won't either. So if synthetic users respond positively, you have strong evidence to justify the investment into a real validation. It's still an emerging field, of course, but it's advancing rapidly. Within the next year or two, synthetic user testing will become a standard part of the innovation toolkit. So let's look at the big picture. Let's talk what happens when you put all these pieces together. And yeah, what does it look like when AI doesn't just help with individual phases, but runs the entire innovation process? We call this autonomous innovation. At Hive, we've already built a working prototype for this. This is our Hive Auto Inno pipeline. I know, yeah, it's a bit of a big name still, complicated name. The innovation is typically slow and expensive, so you need to do market research and find user pain points and brainstorm. But this works that you just give it an innovation challenge. So you basically tell it what you want to innovate, and then a team of specialized AI agents take over. And those AI agents go through several phases that are noted here. So the agent will read your challenge and ask for clarifying questions. It creates a formal innovation brief with hypotheses, goals, and constraints. And it does research. So a market analyst finds trends and competitors. Then there's a user researcher that digs through forums and reviews. And you have a strategist that synthesizes everything and generates some how might we opportunity segments. And after this, you have another creative technologist that brainstorms dozens of solutions and also scores them, rates them, and prioritizes them. And in the end, a product manager, a marketing expert, and a product lead together, they create a concept of this solution. So in the end, you get a data-backed report, which is ready for a go or no-go decision. So what used to take weeks of strategic work is then generated in minutes. So yeah, it's a great starting point for an innovation project, or to see what possibilities I didn't cover yet in my current innovation project. This tool is not public yet, but if you are interested in trying out this tool, just send me an email or send me a message on LinkedIn. I'll show my contacts again on the last slide. Let's talk about where AI in innovation delivers real value right now. So, as I already said, for clearly structured and data-intensive tasks, synthesis, market technology scanning, ideation, prototyping, those are all parts where AI doesn't just make it faster, but really changes the shape, because everywhere where speed and as well breadth are required, there the human was the bottleneck before, and that's where AI shines. But there are also some important limitations. Yeah, where AI in innovation struggles. Strategic prioritization, which is that the AI can generate many options, but is very poor still at deciding between them, especially when the context is complex. So it doesn't understand your company. It doesn't understand your company's strategy, the politics inside of the company, or the constraints of what you do. And second thing is deep customer understanding. So synthetic user cannot replace real conversations with people, because they display emotions, contradictions, and also they have unspoken needs. So these nuances of human behavior are still beyond AI for now. Then internal organizational dynamics. So AI cannot judge if something is politically feasible. It doesn't know which stakeholder need to be convinced inside of your company, and also it doesn't know which department has budget or which executive champions your idea. And then third, quality control. So without human review, AI produces results that sound plausible, but can be superficial or incorrect. This is perhaps the biggest risk if you just use the confident sounding output and then it turns out to be wrong. So, as I like to say, AI is brilliant at diverging, but weak at converging. So it can break open the solution space beautifully, but humans still have to make the right decisions about which path to take. So let me share some numbers about why AI use cases repeatedly fall short. According to PwC, 56% of CEOs say their companies have not realized any value or cost benefits from AI, and only 12% report that both have been achieved. So revenue additionally and realized value. According to Deloitte, the AI projects often only pay for themselves after 2 to 4 years. What I want to give you as a takeaway is that it's not as simple to just see autonomy synonymous with a classic automation, because in workflow automation, you digitize a stable process and the effect is directly measurable. In agentic AI, you're delegating decision making to a probabilistic system. So with each level of autonomy, the decision space grows exponentially, and with it also the testing and the validation effort grows. So this is why realistic expectations are so important. What are the specific patterns why this is failing? First, lack of context. So if the AI is only getting vague prompts, not getting structured briefings, where is the company data, what are the clear goals, the standard garbage in, garbage out. Then tool isolation. If each tool is used in isolation with no systematic flow of the insights from one phase to the next, this is the number one killer of AI value in innovation. And wrong expectations. So teams expect finished results instead of just taking AI as a good starting point that needs to be developed further. Because AI is really good at giving you a first draft, but for a final product, we're not really there yet. Yeah, and also not having feedback loops is something why it falls short. So if an AI output is just generated once and used as is, instead of being iteratively improved, this is also something that you can get way more value out of it if you iteratively work on your AI output, because the magic happens in the second or third, fourth iteration. And another the last key thing that I want to give you for this is lack of ownership. So if nobody is really responsible for the quality of the continuous improvement of your AI workflow, without someone owning the process, the AI always will stay at the demo level. These patterns are systematic patterns, so they undermine the autonomy of your system and the efficiency of your agentic system and prevent that you can really capture that real value. But they're also fixable. That's what we're talking about in the next slides. Yeah, one more reality check or the hidden costs of agent-based systems. What you see above the waterline is the inference cost. So the API cost of running your models, but this is often the smallest item on your bill. Below the waterline, you have the engineering cost, something like context stitching. So your agent needs consistent, context-rich information. And in practice, this data is often distributed across different systems, for example, ERP, CRM systems, or proprietary systems. Sorry. Connecting all of this becomes a separate project in itself. Then monitoring and logging. Agents must be monitored. The tools calls need to be logged and the decisions need to be tracked. So you can also analyze your edge cases. And this is mandatory for any production system. Last, you have the interface risk. So every tool call creates more ways things can go wrong. So you need safe rollbacks and safe guards against timing conflicts. If something finishes and another thing starts, there are real operational risks. So the bottom line is that it's more about integration, security, and operation that dominate this cost structure, not just interference. And the biggest trap that I believe a lot of people are falling into is believing that the real autonomy is easy. And if someone tells you it is, they're leaving out the hard parts. Now let's talk about how to prepare for the future. We've seen the opportunities and the challenges. So now the question is, what do you do actually about it? How do you prepare your teams in your organization for the agentic future? Let me share this in a practical roadmap. First, the best AI strategy is a people strategy. So technology is the enabler, but skills themselves are the differentiator. 3 concrete recommendations. Do promptathons and agent hackathons. Give your teams hands-on experience and orchestrating, hands-on experience in building and as well orchestrating AI agents for several real innovation challenges, not just in a theoretical workshop, but practical, project-based, where you also have actual deliverables. Then new skill profiles. So you need people who can do prompt engineering, who can do agent orchestration and data curation for RAG, or AI governance, and someone that can also critically evaluate the AI output. These are the new core competencies for any innovation team. And then lastly, you need to have a culture shift. So move away from the narrative that AI replaces the tasks to AI simplifies tasks and AI amplifies teams. So yeah, innovation professionals, they can become real AI augmented strategists. The organizations that invest in their people's AI capabilities today, they will have an enormous competitive advantage in 2 to 3 years. The shift from chatbot to agent is the most important change in how people use AI since ChatGPT appeared. And the new role is not just prompting, but managing. So my practical advice here is don't use AI as a demo, don't just play with it. work with it on real tasks, upload a document that you're actually working on, of course, a non-sensitive one if you don't want to share your private data, and give the AI a complex real-world problem and iterate with that. An AI that does things, if you have that, is fundamentally more useful than an AI that just says things. So the shift from being someone who prompts to someone who manages agents is really the mindset change that separates those AI beginners from AI power users now. Here's your 3-phase roadmap that I said, from tool user to agent orchestrator. First, you need AI literacy across your teams, run promptathons, and identify high-value use cases, and establish then the data foundations for a system like RAG. This is the foundation everything builds on. And phase 2, for the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months, focus on workflows. So deploy your first multi-agent workflow, where you connect internal knowledge bases via MCP, you automate repetitive research, and you do synthesis tasks with AI. Just start small and prove the value, and then you can scale. And for phase 3, the future, so the next 12 to 24 months, autonomy, scale to autonomous pipelines. So you integrate agents across the full innovation process with having human oversight at these strategic decision points that you still want to keep. The key is to start now with the first phase, with AI literacy. Don't wait for the technology to mature further, because the organizations that build the foundation today will be the ones that capture the value of agents tomorrow. And remember, the best AI strategy is a people strategy. As I already said, you need this culture shift, and you also need new skill profiles. So if you have champions, those people in your company that already experiment with AI, give them more power, ways of sharing their what they learned, and give them resources, time, and also visibility, of course, then your organization can do a lot more with it. And with great autonomy also comes great responsibility. So you really need to have AI governance frameworks. It's not really optional. It's something that is very necessary, even though a lot of people overlook it still. You need to have human supervision, ways where an AI agent suggests something and humans decide. You need to have clear escalation points and quality gates where you check. Then you need to be concerned about data protection, of course, be intentional about what data you feed your agents, ensure that you're compliant with GDPR or your internal policies. Not everything has to go into the AI. And transparency and bias. So it's very helpful if you document the decisions your agent takes, and if you audit the output regularly. Because if you cannot explain why the AI recommended something, then you shouldn't really act on it. So yeah, not really nice to haves. Those are really the requirements for any responsible deployment of AI and innovation. And AI use cases are not one-time implementations. They need continuous improvements. So you need to refine the prompts, or you need to refine the context that your agent is taking his decisions on. You need to curate the data and update it, so your RAG systems can access also data that is recent. Otherwise, you get not up-to-date insights, of course. You need to evaluate your output. So if you do a structured assessment of your AI results by someone who actually knows the domain, and then flow that feedback again back into the system, great. Workflow integration as well, step by step. You don't need to do everything at the same time. Connect individual tools, then coherent pipelines together, and then you have a whole flow in the end where from one end to the end, from one beginning to the end, you can automate everything if you go step by step. As well as benchmarking is important. So sometimes maybe, or oftentimes, human output is better than some AI systems. Compare your AI generated results with the traditionally the results that you had normally. So you can measure if the AI system actually adds value or not. And you can also identify the weaknesses where you have to iterate and refine your prompts or system maybe. So yeah, this is the difference between an AI demo and an AI workflow, is that you have a feedback loop, because without the continuous improvement, every use case stays at this demo level. And the future of innovation lies not in AI or humans, but in the right division of tasks. So the AI takes care of scanning, synthesis, variation, and speed, and humans contribute with judgment, with contextual knowledge, with empathy, and strategic foresight. So this interaction works best when you have three conditions. First, you need clear separation of tasks. So who does what and why. Don't blur the lines between what the AI does and what the human should do. And also define handover points. So where do humans check? Where do they decide? These need to be explicit and not ad hoc. And third, culture of critical use. So treat your AI results as a starting point, not just as an end product. Always review, question, always iterate. When you get this right, you get the combination of human creativity and AI capability that is far more powerful than either one alone. So this is really the sweet spot that we should be aiming for. So let me wrap up this with 3 key takeaways to remember. Evolution, AI and innovation is evolving from individual tools to autonomous agent systems that can orchestrate entire innovation processes. This is happening right now. Scenarios, 3 scenarios guide your adoption from tool integration, where most are today, to multi-agent orchestration, this is the emergent paradigm, to fully autonomous innovation. This is the future where we're building towards. And action is start now. Build AI literacy in your team. Experiment with agent workflows. Establish your data foundations. And also develop some governance frameworks, how you want to govern AI. And the future of innovation, I believe, definitely is agentic. The question then is not if your organization adapts, but how fast. Yeah, thank you so much for your time and attention today. I hope this session has given you both inspiration and practical guidance for your AI journey. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, here's how you can reach me. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn or send me an email. Please sign also up for the Hive newsletter to stay updated on our latest research or our projects on AI in innovation. Thank you very much for attending the webinar, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.